Hi guys, welcome to Get Rolling. Today we are at Gold Mountain. As you can see behind me, this is the gatekeeper. Got a few people with us today. We're gonna run this. I haven't ran this in like 20 years, so we're gonna see what kind of fun we can have today, guys. All right, let's do this. Let's get rolling. Here we are at the gatekeeper on Gold Mountain, and Brad here is gonna show us how it's done. Now here's the second angle of the gatekeeper with Brad rolling over these rocks, and he just does a great job. Makes it look real easy. Gets a little bumpy, but he's sure getting it done, guys. Now it's my turn here at the gatekeeper, and you'll see when I kind of go up the gatekeeper at Gold Mountain that I start to climb a little bit, and I'm like, oh wait a minute, because I start right there, bam, you can hear it squeaking a little bit. So I back up and kind of reposition a little bit, so just get a little bit more clearance. A couple times I had that happen going up Gold Mountain, but that's what these Rubicons are made for, right? They got the skid plates and they're ready to rock and roll.
That way. Going.
You got it. You got it. You got it. You got it. Passenger. You got it. You got it. Good job. Good job.
Here's the second angle from our second camera operator going up the gatekeeper. Oh, there's the squeaks right there. Gotta love that, right? Back up a little bit, reposition. And you know, this gatekeeper honestly is not too bad. You pick the right line, you get up, you get over it. It's actually pretty easy. And there's a lot of beautiful things to see on this trail, as you'll see later in this video. One of the things I did notice about my Gladiator Rubicon, when we got up the gatekeeper and we're going over these rocks, it looks a little rough, but it's actually very smooth when you air down the tires, the suspension, the travel, and air, and all the engineering that goes into these vehicles. It makes for a really nice ride. It's not what you think when you're getting on these rocks. And this is the first time I've done something like this in a really long time, and it was fun to do.
You just went in between that rut right there.
I was trying to go up the rougher line.
Check out the hawk.
Right there.
Here's our buddy Chuck and his vehicle Cryptic here. You've seen him before in one of our previous episodes of Get Rolling, What I Roll In. One thing I do like about his vehicle, that short wheelbase on this, and also the four-door Wranglers, it just goes up that, no problem at all, not any rubbing, and he did a great job coming up the gatekeeper. He hadn't been on this trail in a long time, like I haven't either. Now here's a second angle of Chuck running the gatekeeper. And look at that, you know, he did a great job. He just makes it look easy. Good job, Chuck. Making it look too easy for everybody. Here we are. We just went over the gatekeeper, and we're continuing on up the trail. As you can see on the from my windshield view right here, it's starting to rain a little bit, and things start to get a little slick out there, which definitely makes things interesting, as you'll see later in the video. Still was a fun trip, and if you have a vehicle that you feel confident that can make this trip up Gold Mountain, it's worth going. I would suggest going on a day that probably doesn't have rain and a little bit of fog and snow, and it started to snow on us at the top, which probably isn't ideal conditions, but it sure made for a lot of fun, that's for sure. Yeah, some of the turns going up Gold Mountain here are a little tight. As you can see, I had to reposition a little bit, and so I can hit this obstacle straight, because I thought, hey, you know, if we're going to do this, might as well hit the harder parts, right? Where's the fun in taking the easy line? So here we go, guys. This was not hard by any means, but you know what? Why not take the road less traveled, right? All right, it's Chuck's turn. As you can see here, he's just repositioning so he can get the line that he wants to take, and his Jeep just does a great job. Great driving, just eats it up. It's a little slick out there because it is, you might not be able to tell right here in this section of the video, We are getting a pretty good rain out there right now, which definitely makes for some serious entertainment a little later. As we get around the corner right here, you'll notice the lead vehicle, Brad, kind of stopped in the road up here. He lost one of his brake lines, so we had to get out, take care of that. Unfortunately, we just kind of had to, didn't have a bunch of stuff with us, so he had to cap it off, and we continued on the trail, just nice and easy. there's just a lot of really, really neat features and trees, rocks, and all that kind of to see going on up to Gold Mountain. Unfortunately, with the fog cover and all that kind of stuff, you don't really get the big picture of what we're actually seeing. It is actually a very beautiful drive, like I was saying before. If you haven't done it and you do have the vehicle, I recommend going up there and having a look because it is definitely, definitely worth the trip. It seems that we climb up, of course, the more fog and the more rain that we're getting, which to me, it makes for a little bit more fun because it makes things a little slick, right? So you got to pay attention a little bit more. So to me, it's just added fun. And I know for the other two as well, it just made the trail just a lot more enjoyable to run it that way when it was just a little bit slick in areas. It's all part of the fun, right, guys? here we are at the next obstacle, which is the first waterfall going up Gold Mountain. And it's a little slick, as you can see by the wheel spin on Brad's car right there. And he just gives it a little bit of gas right there, just goes right up it, and it's really not that difficult at all. It's actually pretty easy. It may look a little intimidating to some people, but it's really not that bad. Here's my turn going up the waterfall, and I just kind of line up because I do have a little bit longer wheelbase than the other two vehicles. And one of the funny things I remember when we did this is I just had it in four-wheel drive, didn't have it in low, none of that kind of stuff, and I'm just like, oh, let's just see if I can go up it like this. And then I learned, it's like, you know what, it's a lot easier to go up it in low, so I don't have to hit it fast and bounce off some rocks. And just all that extra, gearing and extra torque makes this just a lot easier to go up. So next time I go up this thing, I'll make sure to put my vehicle in low, and it just makes things a lot easier to head up. Oh, we got Chuck running up the first little waterfall right here. And, the rain really didn't give up a whole bunch. So as you can see, when Chuck's trying to climb up this, he does get a little bit of wheel spin a couple times here. Has to roll back and hit it again, but he makes it up with zero issues. We all, had a lot of fun because the rain made it, like I said, an added degree of difficulty, which was a lot of fun. You just really had to kind of be on your game a little bit and push it a little bit more gas, and there you go. So you got right up that, a little bit more wheel spin, and he's up there, and we're good to go and getting ready to hit the next obstacle. Here we are at the last real obstacle of Gold Mountain. It's the second waterfall. As you can see, it's pretty slick out here. In this video, you can see all the water puddles, and the rocks are really slick. And right before this, Brad and I were walking up the waterfall here, and he looks at me and he says, "Hey, Eddie, it's starting to snow a little bit." And I looked at Brad and I said, "Brad, no, it's not snowing." We take a few more steps, and I'm looking around, and he goes, "Eddie, it's really starting to snow out here." And I look at Brad again. I go, "Brad, no, it is not snowing." And Dan, who was with us, that's done some of the filming in this video you're watching, he's laughing because Brad's trying to tell me that it's starting to snow, and I don't want to admit it's snowing, so Brad started laughing. But anyways, as you can see, that it gets really slick, and Brad starts to hop a little bit going up this obstacle, and unfortunately, he kind of wedges himself in between a rock and a tree root, so we had to jack him up, move him over, pull him out. And at that time, it really started to rain quite a bit, and we decided with Brad's broken brake line there that maybe we should just turn around and head down after we got him winched off this tree root and the rock right there. You can see he's definitely, you know, that old saying, between a rock and a hard place. Yeah, that's pretty much where he gets stuck right there. So we're just gonna have to run this trail in better conditions. So it got us this time, guys, but be prepared. We're gonna come back and we're gonna hit this trail with a vengeance. So here we are. We did get turned around, got Brad winched off the rock in the hard spot there, and are headed down. We had a lot of fun getting up to that point. It was pretty slick, as you could see in the video, but we all had a great time. We discussed at the end of the trail, when we get to the bottom here, that hey, we are definitely going to hit this trail again when conditions are a little bit better for filming, because we couldn't do exactly what we wanted to do with filming because everybody that was filming got absolutely drenched filming this video. It was really windy, so I really didn't pull out my drones or any of that kind of stuff. But we still had a great time. Everybody that went, Chuck and Brad and myself that were driving the vehicles, all had a great time. We are definitely going to run this again. This is a fun trail. And one of the things you folks might not know, or maybe you do know, that this is a Jeep Badge of Honor trail. So if you folks want to run this, get your Jeep Badge of Honor, I suggest doing it. It was a fun trail, even though we didn't make it over the last obstacle because we had technical difficulties, and we figured it was probably a sign to, you know what, he lost a brake line, got stuck right there. We decided to just go ahead and turn around in case something else happened. You know, Murphy's Law, right? So we just turned around and headed down, and we're just going to save this for another day. And maybe some of you want to go with us. One of the things I have definitely noticed when we've done the filming that we have, like this rock in front of us right here, is a little bit bigger than it appears to be on the camera, that's for sure. And when I go up it, I notice I start to rub the bottom of the gladiator a little bit. And, having a little longer wheelbase, sometimes that'll happen. So I just back up a little bit, go to the right. The rock's not quite as big on that side. And then just continue on down the trail. Another really neat thing about this trail is the views. You can kind of see when we go through a little bit, you'll see the Bear Valley coming into view a little bit. Had it been not as foggy, there would have been some really spectacular views on this road. There's a lot of really cool places that you could pull over, have lunch, be safely off the trail to the side so people can get by. Make sure that when you're going to eat your lunch, to take all your trash with you guys. Don't leave it out there for others to pick up. We did find quite a bit of trash on even the beginning of this trail that we threw in the back of the truck because we don't leave trash on trails, folks. Remember that. here we are at the bottom of Gold Mountain. Chuck, as you can see from my dash cam video, there is running the gatekeeper in reverse to get off the trail. I'm out there kind of walking him through a few of the rocks, a couple different lines that he can take to get out of there, and I'll be following him shortly. So we'll do a little bit of recap on the trail and what I thought of this trail. Like I said before, this is a fun trail with the rain, mud, and the fog. It did add a extra degree of difficulty, which was, in my opinion, and the other two's opinions, and everybody that went with us, just made it a little bit more fun. You know, it was too bad that we did have a brake line failure, and even though that Brad did have that, he still was going to run the trail, and unfortunately, he got hung up on a rock in front of his vehicle, and on the back there was a stump, and he just got, hung up. He couldn't go forward or backwards. So, we eventually ended up winching him off of that stump, and then we all decided that maybe that's a sign, and we'll save this trail for another day. So we did. We all got in our vehicles, turned around, and went back down the trail. So we will definitely be hitting this trail again. Probably somewhere in the spring, or we've had kind of a weird winter in Big Bear. If we don't get much snow and it starts to dry up a little bit, we'll hit the trail again, because it's definitely a fun trail, and I recommend doing it. It's a Jeep Badge of Honor trail, like I said before. If anybody want to earn your Jeep Badge of Honor little badge, definitely run the trail. Just make sure that when you run this, I recommend running it with another vehicle in case you do have a technical difficulty. It's easier to have someone to help you get out of that spot than to do it yourself. So you guys make sure to like and subscribe to our videos. Follow us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and like I said, make sure to like and subscribe on all forms of those medias, guys. And we have some really, really cool runs that we have planned in the near future, weather depending, of some spicy stuff. Maybe not this Jeep Badge of Honor Gold Mountain Trail, but we do have some other stuff that'll be challenging for a lot of folks that they'll have a really, really good time on. Until then, guys, get rolling, be safe, and you know what? This is the start of a new year. You guys kick it off right. Let's do this.